back to Denmark Weekly Talks, and today we're going to be talking about the internet and the overall effect it has had on our brains. So, as a focus point for this entire video, I'm going to be talking about internet exposure and how it exposes us to harmful and violent media, its effect on our brains, the era of information overload, and its impact on our overall attention spans. And lastly, I'm going to be talking about the regulations posed by the developers and how they're inefficient. Points I just mentioned are going to be thoroughly analyzed as to understand this fairly new world and its shortcomings. And I also wanted to pinpoint how the user can take control and have preventative measures to not allow the internet to affect us. According to statistical research by Data Reportal, 5.3 billion users spend on average 6 hours and 41 minutes browsing the internet. On average, humans consume 74 gigabytes of information per day. That is around 60 movies total. And they don't really have that much control over what they're looking at, but that isn't really the subject right now. Okay? And consuming so much information in short spans of time is what really is taking a negative toll on our human psyche. The parts of our brain that are mostly affected are our attention spans, concentration, decision-making processes, and our emotions. Our attention spans have been affected in a sort of way due to what is called as attention switching. A study from Gloria Mark at the University of California has shown that people switch their attentions from place to place every 47 seconds, compared to 10 years ago when it was 2 minutes and 5 seconds. That is a big gap. Next, our emotions are also being affected. According to the American Journal of Preventive Medicine, there's a correlation between using your cell phone, or social media actually, and social isolation. This correlation doesn't seem like interesting or not interesting, but like it doesn't seem fair since nowadays when we're on social media we're always surrounded by everybody, virtually, but not physically. That is what's causing this fluctuation in social isolation. In the last decade, mental health issues have increased by 13%, and it has been traced back to the usage of your cell phone or actually social media. We have no longer control, we don't have that amount of physical interaction we used to have 10 decades ago. Lastly, let's talk about information overload. Well, information overload is just getting overloaded with so much information that you don't really know how to decide anything or act upon something. In this endless stream of data we receive from the internet, we are always opposed with the issue of information overload. We're consuming so much in such little times that we most of the time don't know how to act based on the amount of information we consume. Talking about these things pops a question in my mind about how much information is too much. Information overload and the aforementioned effects affect each individual differently. So it's kind of subjective of how we are affected by these subjects. In this endless stream of data, we're exposed to anything the mind could think of, from a simple advertisement of a childcare day center to a form of gore videos. The only things preventing these two things from actually being in the same place are the various trends and algorithms the internet perceives information from. Exposure is the fact of experiencing something or being affected by it because of being in a particular situation or place. In the internet, we're not in a particular situation or place, we're always in it. The internet exposes us to violence, war, death, and many other violent and criminal matters. It also manages to normalize it. How does it normalize such subjects? Well, it's pretty simple. Look at this example. Right now I'm gonna just search war. And you can see all the various pictures we're exposed to on our day-to-day. There is no escaping it. The issue is not that we're being exposed to that reality of the world. The issue is its accessibility to this information and the frequency we see it all over the world. Such frequencies and such accessibility to this information is what really is dehumanizing and normalizing all these subjects constantly. Since we see it so often, we start thinking of it as normal. Surrounding the topic of exposure, we come across something named the dark web or the deep web, depending on who you talk to. And it is a place far from any regulations of the web. Within the 328.77 terabytes of information posted daily, there's a small section, well not actually small, but a really big section that involves crime, war, death, and overall gore that finds itself surrounded in a corner of the entire stream of data. It takes some time and dedication to actually find this corner of the network, but once you find it, you're exposed to everything, literally everything you can find in the web. Initially, the dark web, actually named the Onion Router, which was the access path for the dark web, was invented by the US Naval Research Laboratory. It was done to make an untraceable source from A to B, remaining completely anonymous as to not allow other people to access the information of the US government. Tor was made available to the public since the only way to actually remain anonymous in this site was for massive amounts of people to actually use it. And that is why the US Naval Research Laboratory decided to give access to the public on this website. Due to its complicated algorithm and the way it encrypts anything, any activity that occurs in this place of the internet remains completely anonymous forever. Due to this popularity, it became a proper place for the flourishing of criminal activity. Anything wrong you can imagine can be purchased or instigated here. For example, sicariatos, human and drug trafficking, organ trafficking, child trafficking, anything is actually in this place. Traveling this part of the web has been proven really, really dangerous, since hackers can access your entire network and your financial records and probably destroy your life just by putting your IP address in here. We have already browsed the surface of the internet and its shortcomings, also its effect on the human mind and on the society as a whole. But how can we remain cautious in this ever-developing world? Well, we already know that regulations don't suffice since the dark web exists and it was a sort of regulation, you could say, and it didn't prove very useful in actually preventing any harm from being done. Most likely, the only way to evade or actually protect yourself from this issue is by educating yourself upon it. We cannot stop this force of nature, as it is a breeding ground for knowledge. Anything you want to learn is at literally the tip of your finger. It has also allowed humans to communicate, or actually massively communicate, their thoughts and ideas. That has proven really useful throughout the years. This immersive world of entertainment and communication has allowed humans to progress as they have never before. Yet, we must still remain cautious on the effects and drawbacks it has brought with us. Well, thank you guys. See you in the next one.